everybody, it's Caitlin and I'm here at Stone Zoo today and we are open. I know that we went over all of our reopening, what to expect, but we are open at both locations now, Franklin Park Zoo and Stone Zoo, and we're having member appreciation days until June 4th, and then on June 4th it'll be open to the general public. So I'm really hoping that everyone can come and enjoy the zoos. We're here at a beautiful day. And we are doing a Facebook Live on Sunday today because it is May 31st, World Parrot Day. So we are really excited to be here at Stone Zoo to show you some parrots and to talk about parrots and all the cool adaptations and features that they have. And then what we'll do, the reason that this day was created was actually to highlight all of the threats and ways to help the parrots. So at the end of this, we're going to talk a lot more about that, about the specific parrots we have, but then parrots as a whole. I'm also hoping everyone can hear me nice today because I wore a bandana so that hopefully the sound will come through and everyone can hear. So we're going to pan over to the birds that we have today, and I want to give you just a second to look at them to see if you have a guess of what type of birds these are. You may have seen them at Stone Zoo before. They are on exhibit in our Caribbean coast. So our new exhibit, right when you walk in, they're getting used to the camera a little bit being so close to them. But these are our macaws. So macaws are the largest species of parrot. So there's a whole group of them. There are almost 17 species of macaws. And so clearly these two look different. So these are two different species of macaw. So on the left here, this blue and gold macaw, that is actually the name and the color, and this is Cusco. And Cusco is our female, who's 13 years old. And then to the right of her is Rockwell. He's hunching close to her. So Rockwell is our male, and he is our green-winged macaw. So they're two different species, but they have been together since they were very, very young. They're only a year apart. And because of that, they're a bonded pair. So they are together here. And if you've visited Stone Zoo before, you might know that there's another set of macaws, the Scarlet Macaws, that look pretty similar to Rockwell, just a little bit smaller. They are in our Caribbean coast as well. You actually might be hearing them in the background. They're making some loud noises because parrots really love attention. So because we have these two here, they're pretty content that they're getting some attention out in the sun today. But our other parrots are still in the Caribbean coast, so they're seeing us over there and they are making some noise. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of treats here. We have some seeds here for them. And they're doing such a great job for us. We want to give them some seeds. So I really love parrots. Some of you that have been longtime Stone Zoo goers might remember a green-winged macaw that we had previously named Henry. He's one that he was passed away of old age, but he was my favorite macaw. We did so many programs with him and I learned so much about parrots and macaws during the time I worked with him. So I'm really excited to learn more about these. I don't know if you saw that, they just did a little flinch. I'm not sure if they saw something above. Something that is actually really interesting about these parrots is because they could be a prey species, they want to be nervous about maybe anything up in the sky, potentially in this area, a red-tailed hawk. That would scare them a little bit. So they'd want to make sure that, it's okay. They'd want to make sure that they are covered in that situation. So that's why they kind of hunched a little bit. So these parrots, what are you doing? These parrots are from Central and South America. So you can tell that mainly by that really bright color that they have. That signifies that they are from the rainforest where there's usually a lot of bright colored animals. And as you can see, what I'm giving them right now are some seeds, just some sunflower seeds here. And that is a lot of what they will be what they will be eating in their natural range. They're going to be eating nuts and seeds and fruits. They are, you want some more? They are considered, did that fall? Sorry. They are considered omnivores because they will eat some insects as well, but usually not hunting anything larger than that. That's really the smallest thing that they're going to be eating. But because of the nuts and seeds that they're eating, there are a lot of toxins in those. So what they'll do is they'll actually eat clay and sand to help balance out their stomach so it doesn't become too toxic for them. So something that you'll see with macaws is because they usually are in groups about 10 to 30 macaws. They can be seen in pretty large groups, and you'll see them on this side of a cliff where they'll be eating this clay, and that's a pretty cool time to see them because that's kind of when they're out in the open a little bit more. So in their natural range, they spend a lot of time up in the canopy, so kind of up in the top part of the trees, but they can also be found in the emergent layer, which means the tippity top of the rainforest because they can fly, unlike a lot of other animals in the rainforest. So they're able to be pretty high up. So the other thing that we were just talking about is the noise that our other scarlet macaws are making. These guys can make a lot of noise too. So like I said, they're being pretty quiet right now because they're getting all this attention from us, so they're pretty happy. But when they're in their natural range, and there can be, he's taking them from Cusco, and there can be a lot of them, they can be really, really loud when there's almost 30 of them making lots of different noise. They can be very loud. So, if you look at these parrots, they're a little different in size. So we have our green-winged macaw is one of the larger macaw species. The largest macaw species, the largest macaw species is actually the hyacinth macaw that we do have here at Stone Zoo. We have a pair of hyacinth macaws that live in our Windows to the Wild exhibit. And then the green-winged macaw, like Rockwell here, is one of the larger species. So you can see that Cusco is a little bit smaller there. So when they're up in the those really high layers of the rainforest, there's not a lot that could be preying upon them, especially because they can fly. But can you think of what types of animals might be able to be predators for these birds? They're pretty large. They do have this very strong beak, so that will help them to defend themselves. But what do you think, what are some other animals that might be able to prey upon them in the part of the rainforest that they live? So if you were thinking maybe a larger bird of prey, you are correct, because larger, such as the harpy eagle in that area, they can be much bigger than these macaws, so they could have that hunt a macaw here. And also other larger mammals, if they were to come close to the ground, or if it was a chick, that would be something, as well as snakes and monkeys. Those could be some of their predators. So a few questions that are always asked about macaws are about how long they can live, because it's a pretty well-known fact that they can live for a very long time. So like I said, these two are 12 and 13, but they can live into their 80s. So it's usually more average about 50, but they can live into their 80s. So that is why we always bring up about them being pets. So these are birds that some people do have as pets, but they can be very challenging pets. So the first thing is they do have this strong beak. As you can see, I am hand feeding them these because they're very used to this. This is something that they do all the time. I guess Rockwell's a little hungry here. But they do have very, very sharp, strong beaks, I'm sorry. So they could actually crush a broomstick. That's how strong their beaks are. So we have to be very careful of that. And if you do have one at home that maybe isn't used to this or has had a different, was somewhere else before they come to you, you want to be very careful about not getting bitten by a macaw because it can hurt very badly. And the other piece is that they can be very loud. Like we were talking about with our Scarlet Macaws, they're screeching right now and they can do that at your home. And they also can be very destructive because they have these beaks. They might want to rip or destroy things. So here at the zoo, we give them tons of enrichment. We give them things that they can rip apart. They like to rip apart boxes and paper, and we make puzzles for them. So that is really important because they're very intelligent. So we want to make sure that they are mentally stimulated as well. And something that we're doing right now, coming out on this perch, this is an enrichment piece for them today because this isn't part of their everyday. We try to do it as much as we can, but this is a new fun spot for them. They're able to come out and get a new vantage point, take a look at things, get out in the open, and get some of their favorite treats here. So the other piece that you might be seeing when they're sticking their tongue out there, they actually have a bone in their tongue that helps them to break apart these seeds. And that's really important. They do use their hands. Oh, he was just showing you. Rockwell will use their hands there to help them, but their tongue does a lot of the work with that bone in there to help break apart. They're taking out the inside, and you'll see the rest of the seed kind of falling to the ground there. So the other question I'm sure some of you are wondering about is if they can talk. We always get that question with our macaws, and it's a really great question because I'm sure you've probably heard some that can talk. The African gray parrot is one that is amazing at mimicking human speech, and the macaws can do that as well. Can't usually say the same amount of words, but it really is just them mimicking us. So these two, they can't really say a whole lot. We've heard them say hi because that's something we say to them all the time. So it's usually just a repeated word that you're saying to them all the time that they're able to mimic back to you. Our other Scarlet Macaws, they're ones, they can say a couple more words. They just caught on a little bit quicker. But we're very careful with trying to teach them words because what happens with macaws is that you can't always know when they're going to say those words. They might not be saying it on cue. So we really work to not be teaching them words like that because we want to make sure when they come out for educational programs that the educator is able to do the talking and we're not just having a bunch of words coming out of the macaws. All right, so I think we can check in to see if there are some questions. Any macaw questions coming through?
So Katie on Facebook has asked, what are some of their threats?
Thank you, Katie. I was gonna get back to that with our about World Parrot Day, so thank you very much. So what do we think some of the threats for these parrots could be? They're in the rainforest, and I think a lot of people know that the rainforest is in danger. A lot of the rainforest is being cut down. So they are losing some of their habitat, and they really rely on these trees because that's where they live. So when that gets taken away, they're gonna have to find a new spot. So habitat loss is a huge threat for these parrots. The other piece is, as I mentioned before, about them being pets, is that they are taken for the pet trade. So a lot of times it's when they are young, when they're chicks, that they will be taken from their natural range to be pets. So that is a really, really big threat for them. Thankfully, these two species here are of least concern, which means that they have good, healthy numbers in their natural range. However, that's not the case for all macaws. There are a few macaws that are endangered, and one of the macaws that many of you might know is the macaw from Rio, the Sphinx macaw. That is one, it's a blue macaw, and it is actually now extinct in the wild because they are one that is on the smaller side, so they were very heavily taken from their natural range to be pets, and so they now, unfortunately, we believe that there are no individuals left in the wild, meaning that they are only in human care. So what they're gonna do is try very, very hard to breed them in human care and hopefully be able to reintroduce them to their natural range so that they can hopefully grow their numbers again and that we will not see them be extinct in the wild. So the red-fronted and blue-throated are two other macaw species that are in danger. So for the same reasons of habitat loss and being taken from the wild to be pets. So that is what World Parrot Day is kind of all about, is to highlight how to help these parrots in their natural range. And a big part of the pet piece is making sure that you really do your research if you're interested in a parrot. They are a lot of work. They can be with you for a very, very long time, sometimes outliving their owners. And making sure that if you really are ready for that, that you do your research on where you are purchasing your bird from, making sure that it's a licensed facility, that is not one that they are being taken from their natural range, so that you can make sure that you'll have a healthy parrot. Any other questions that we had come through?
Melissa has a question. In the wild, what other animals would they live with in their habitat?
Oh, that is a great question, Melissa. Thank you. So actually here in the Caribbean coast, we see a couple of the different species. We have flamingos, we have the Jamaican iguana, some other macaws. But in Central and South America, that is a very, very diverse range. So they could be seen living in the same area. Lots of different monkeys, lots of different birds, snakes. Do you want this? Any of the animals that would be seen in the canopy that are able to climb and get up there, they would be found in that same area as them.
Somebody else asked, Kristen asked, are these two birds related to each other?
Oh, that's a great question. They are not related to each other. They are two different species, so they were born separately. They were born from different parents, but because they were hand-reared birds, they were put together to be a bonded pair, and they came together here to Stone Zoo. That's a great question, though.
And then we have just one more from
Yeah.
Melissa. What would they eat in a wild diet?
Great, that's a great question, Melissa. So they would eat, majority of their diet is nuts and seeds and fruits. That's mainly what they eat. They will eat some insects as well, so they're considered omnivores. Awesome, thank you for all of those questions. So what we're gonna do at the end, we have a special treat for them, a peanut. We're gonna give them this because, oh, you can see Rockwell. Hold on. You can see Rockwell is very excited. So this is their special treat at the end. They did a really great job for us being out here and teaching all of you about parrots. So I really hope that you enjoyed learning more about Rockwell and Cusco. I also really hope that all of you are able to come visit the zoo's biggest piece that we went over, just to make sure that you buy your tickets ahead of time, so that you can come at the ticketed time and come into the zoo. So you'll get a chance to see them and all of our other animals here at the zoos. So thank you so much for being with us. Please keep tuning in to our 1:30 Zoo to Use, and hope to see everybody soon. Bye.